explore that, get curious about that, the more we will see that we are basking in mental health. We are basking in innate resilience. Everything else is exactly the same. You haven't won the lottery. There's still money problem. There's still challenges at work. But what you'll find that your ability to handle all of this is different because you are grounded in an understanding of who you truly are and not allowing those negative thoughts, passing clouds to impact you. And that exploration takes courage, Anita.
Yes.
And again, I'm bringing it back to the theme of courage.
Today's guest is my dear friend, Dr. Rani Bora, a mental wealth coach, holistic psychiatrist, a speaker and author of How to Turn Stress on Its Head. She has studied and trained in several integrative well-being and coaching approaches. Her passion is in the prevention of mental ill health, deprescribing and coaching individuals to thrive and connect to their mental wealth. She is a strong advocate for empowering patients, peer support, and personal recovery. She also brings her coaching expertise and knowledge into her clinical practices. Welcome, Rani.
Thank you. Lovely to be here.
Oh, I'm really excited for our conversation today. So, what is one of the most courageous things that you have done?
You said I never thought about this as courageous, but I think it has been courageous if you ask me about courage. And I know your podcast is about courage, isn't it, Anita?
Yes.
I think the most courageous thing I've ever done in my life is to really invest in myself.
Wow.
That's the most courageous thing I've ever done. Yeah, I can speak more about it, but that's what came to me. Like, we go about life thinking, oh, there's a certain way to show up, and we have to do this and do that. And yes, that's great. And the more we invest in ourselves, we get to be courageous. Then we get to do courageous things. So it all comes back to like, are you exploring that bit? Are you being courageous enough to look inwards and work on yourself?
Absolutely. I love that. It's, that's what makes us who we are as well.
Yeah, in the form of human, definitely. Like, we can go about saying, oh, who I am is my conditioning, is my past, or we can create ourselves and say, I can choose to be whoever I want in this world of form.
So, what took you on your journey of being a mental wealth coach and holistic psychiatrist?
Well, the psychiatry bit was very simple because I grew up in a small town in the northeast part of India. It's called Dibrugarh, and the state is called Assam. So if you're a science student and you have only two options really. You either become a doctor or you become an engineer. Guess what? I got selected in both, but I decided to become a doctor. And I also saw that in terms of selecting a branch of medicine, I wanted a branch of medicine where I could spend time connecting with people. So obviously, if you look at all the options in medical field, then it was like psychiatry. And soon I realized that, okay, it's not as simple as just connecting with people, right? So the traditional, psychiatry paradigm is not like you just get to connect with people. Obviously you can, and there are, other things. But when I discovered my love for coaching and I became a coach, I was able to take the holistic bit into my clinical practice. So that's what happened. Yeah. And in terms of the mental wealth, how I became a mental wealth coach, and why I became a coach in the first place is because I was insecure as a young child. And very insecure. I could hide it because I was a doctor after all. Went through medical school and everything, and it was easy to hide behind that white coat. And until at some point in your life you realize that, gosh, you can't hide anymore because you know that you have some limitations. And that's when I decided to, I became a seeker. That was back in 2001, did lots of personal development programs, and then decided to train to be a coach myself. That was back in 2007. And since then I've never looked back. And my own inward journey has helped me to come across the three principles understanding, which is what I call mental wealth. And that's how I became a mental wealth coach.
Wow, that's absolutely brilliant. And yes, who better to help ourselves in the beginning? It's usually our experiences that take us on our journeys.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And Anita, I heard your journey the other day, and no wonder you do what you do, and no wonder your podcast is called, is about courage, because that's what you have been all your life. So who better than us going through our own journey and sharing our experiences and creating something that can help people immensely from our own experience. So hats off to you for creating this.
Thank you. Heartfelt thank you. Appreciate that.
You're very welcome.
Yes. And so, what improvements have you seen in your time in the mental health as a doctor?
That's a very difficult question for me to answer, but I'll do my best, because I know that there has been, years and years of looking for a single cause, or the root cause of mental health problems. And we still haven't come anywhere near finding the root cause of mental health problems. In fact, is someone very high up in terms of doing research. He once said that although we have spent billions in trying to look for an answer in mental health, we still haven't found it. So there has been promises, like even when the SSRIs or the the antidepressants that are most commonly used first came out, and people thought, oh wow, now this is going to change psychiatry. And then soon we realized that no, it didn't change psychiatry for the better. And if anything, we know that there has been lots of problems with that. And I'll keep it short. So in terms of innovations, there has been some upcoming ones like psychedelics and so on. And I think that I've had both positives and negatives from people's experience. So coming back to like, what have I seen in traditional mental health? I know that there has been innovations. People have been, doing more and more research. That we are looking at things like we call it RTMS and that kind of thing, deep brain stimulation and everything. And it's not the answer. And, some people might respond, some people might not. So unfortunately, I haven't got a very positive response to give you in traditional mental, in the traditional paradigm. And yet I'm excited, I'm hopeful that doesn't mean that we are not going to find what we are looking for, but we need to start looking in the right direction for it.
Absolutely. Yes, that's brilliant. Your passion is in prevention of mental ill health. Explain more about this and what does that entail?
Well, in other words, I'm talking about coaching. In other words, like rather than someone coming to see me as a psychiatrist, when they are already, they have already like been lost and been misguided, and then they finally come to me as a last resort. I would like people to come to me when they think that it is not too bad and it's manageable. And I would rather like people to come to me as a coach to to just help them, guide them through a few things that they're feeling stuck with. So that's what I mean by prevention of ill health, because there's also a saying, right? Prevention is better than cure, and we haven't found a cure for mental illness. At least in the traditional sense, we haven't found a cure for mental illness. So prevention is definitely better. And talking about cure, Anita, sorry, I just wanted to say, quote Dr. Bill Pettit. Have you come across Dr. Bill Pettit?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. So for anyone listening to this or watching this who doesn't know Dr. Bill Pettit, he is a very well-known psychiatrist from the US, who shares the three principles. Understanding is the psycho-spiritual understanding of how the mind works and our true nature. But I love how, and he is like, he's board certified in at least two or three different mental health. I think it's addictions and general adult mental health. So 2 or 3 different branches of mental health. And he has been trained in the traditional paradigm. And yet he says this, that he says that there is only one cause of mental illness and there is only one solution for mental illness. And I just love it. And he said that, the cure, the one root cause of all mental illness is chronic stress. And if you just pause and you say, rather than saying, no, it's not true, just pause and consider this. We all know the impact of stress, acute stress. We also, there's lots and lots of research around the impact of chronic stress, not just on the physical health, but also on the mental health. And so you can understand that anything, if someone has an experience of psychosis or anxiety or depression or you name it, and they are struggling with the symptoms. If they have symptoms and not struggling, that's another thing. But if they are struggling with the symptoms, it's chronic stress. Yeah, it's also causing a chronic stress in not just the mind but also the body. And he says, Anita, that the ultimate solution for all mental illness, or you can say the cure, if you want to use that word, is peace of mind.
Yes.
And that's so powerful. That's beautiful. And that's where I point people to. I'm sure that's where you point people to as well.
Yes, definitely. And what could you see as the turning point in mental health? Is it what you've just said, moving them towards quietening their own mind?
I think people do try to, there are lots of techniques in mental health, the paradigm, to try to quieten people's minds. So it could be through medication and to just help quiet the mind, through talking therapy, try to quiet the mind, through nature-based work, mindfulness. And there's a lot of doing to try to quiet the mind. But ultimately, the best way to really, in a way, quiet the mind or experience quiet of mind is to understand the nature of our experiences and to understand the nature of mind. In other words, to really explore the three principles understanding of what we call mental wealth. And when we really see that we are not broken, we might be lost, but we're never broken. And we really see the essence of who we truly are, you know what? We can have all kinds of experiences and we won't be so frightened about it. We won't try to resist those experiences. We won't try to act because we are having those experiences. We would be much more comfortable accepting them, forgiving ourselves for we've been getting lost in our experiences sometimes. And from that place, what is going to be inevitable without the doing necessarily is who we are being, because we are going to be more and more comfortable knowing that all of this is dynamic. They come and go. Our experiences, that's not who we are. Who we are is constant and never comes and goes. So to me, that's going to be the turning point when it's already happening in there are pockets of good practice. And if the discipline would be embracing this and saying, gosh, let's train our professionals to really seeing this at a deeper level so that then they can take it to their patients, that would be the turning point for sure.
Definitely. That's so good to hear. Definitely. For anyone that's listening and doesn't know what the three principles are, would you just explain a little bit about that, please?
What I would say is don't get caught up with the three principles, because I tried to do that in the past and then people would get very caught up. The three principles are a metaphor of how life works and also our true nature. The person who discovered or uncovered the three principles was a Scottish welder by the name of Sidney Banks. And he felt, the reason why he used the metaphor of the three principles was because if he talks about the truth of who we are, people get lost. Like, what are you talking about? And because he was an enlightened man. He was a Scottish welder. He was not looking for enlightenment, but it just happened to him. And he came up with the metaphor, the three principles, to really point us to the depth of who we truly are. So he talks about universal mind, universal thought, and universal consciousness. I would say if you're new to this, I wouldn't get too hung up about what do they mean. All is pointing to this is why I say mental wealth. whatever we are looking for is not out there somewhere else. When I say wealth, it could be whatever you desire, your aspirations, your hopes, your well-being is not outside, it's not in the doing. You already have that. We are that, and something is covering all of that. And you can say that something that's covering us from seeing who we really are, or really us experiencing or accessing our mental wealth, is a lot of contaminated thinking, a lot of like self-doubts, limiting beliefs. Oh, this happened to me, this was my trauma, or ideas of who we are. They're all hiding the mental wealth. Anita, the other way, a simple way to explain the three principles or the mental wealth is that you can call it our inner blue sky.
Wow.
Okay, we all know blue sky. We know that now it's sunny, sort of sunny, but like partly cloudy as well. But we have all seen a clear blue sky outside. It's this makes us feel good. We feel the warmth of the sun. So in a way, that's the three principles, or that's our essence of who we are, or our mental wealth. And we also know what happens when clouds come and cover it up. But we never worry, and we never say, oh, that the sun has gone away or the blue sky has gone away. We just know. We intuitively know it's there. It's just a matter of time when we are going to experience the blue sky again. So similarly, I tell, what I point people to is our inner blue sky. We all have our inner blue sky. It's just that most of the time is covered up by lots of clouds, contaminated thinking, difficult emotions. Guess what? In the world of form, things happen. We get affected, and then we have a lot of cloudy, worrying thoughts and negative thoughts, however you call it. So it's not about feeling scared of the clouds that they are going to have an impact on you. They're going to negatively impact you, or the trauma is going to negatively impact you. Because guess what? None of the clouds affect the blue sky. So, that there's a part of you which is untouchable, unbroken, not lacking in anything. It just is. And it is spiritual. What I'm pointing to is spiritual. So when we really understand that, yes, there is a human side of us, the world of form, our personal mind, our personal thinking, personal consciousness, but we are all part of something divine, something spiritual. And the more we explore that, get curious about that, the more we will see that we are basking in mental health. We are basking in innate resilience. Everything else is exactly the same. You haven't won the lottery. There's still money problem. There's still challenges at work. But what you'll find that your ability to handle all of this is different, because you are grounded in an understanding of who you truly are, and not allowing those negative thoughts, passing clouds, to impact you. And that exploration takes courage, Anita.
Yes.
And again, I'm bringing it back to the theme of courage.
Definitely. Beautifully put. So, yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Tell me more about your book, How to Turn Stress on Its Head. I have a copy. I have read it, and I've actually recommended it to two of my clients, and they've got it and read it. One thing I must say I love about it, being dyslexic, the simplicity of it. I absolutely understood it. It was an easy read, and that's brilliant. So definitely, it's definitely worth reading. Honestly, absolutely loved it. Thank you.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you, Anita. Do leave me an Amazon review.
I will do.
Thank you. Because I would love to have this message spread as much as possible. Before I say about the book, I'm going to tell you what I stand for, Anita, because that's very powerful for me. And every time I speak about what I stand for, I know I inspire me, but I also inspire someone else to look into this.
Yes.
And what my stand is, I'm taking a stand to spread the paradigm of mental wealth within the health industry and beyond. And this is why I said, please leave me a review, because the more people know about mental wealth, the more people will, they won't have needless suffering, and they will be basking in their true mental health. So in terms of the book, I wrote it 2017. I didn't mention mental wealth at that time, but there is a story behind it, and I haven't openly spoken about it until now. And I am, again, in a podcast called Courage. So I will speak about my courage and why this book got written through me. When I first came across the principles, I was too excited. Like, I got an insight, a huge insight, and like, everyone needs to know about this. I was almost an evangelist. I was like, you need to know about this. And guess what? I ended up in trouble, right? Because I was like in a preachy mode, and I was also being this egoistic, like everyone needs to know this. No, 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 drop everything, come to this. And I look back and now and I see, well, yeah, I take ownership. And it was not a mistake because it was a good way of me seeing something deeper for myself and also realize that I was playing a smaller game in a small unit rather than going out there and sharing about the mental wealth. So I think the universe was like, you're getting too comfortable here. Let me say, you need to play a bigger game. And so so I had I had a challenging time because I was being evangelical, and I don't think people really got where I was pointing them to, or where I was trying to point them to. And I felt that I wanted to capture it in a book, and I wanted to share my understanding in the form of a book, and that's how the book was created. So thank you for asking. And I've never said that before. That's not a full story, but you get a hint of what it is about. And definitely there's another book coming up for sure, following from that. And that book is definitely going to be about mental wealth.
Okay. Yeah, that's brilliant. So, what is the most important lesson you've learnt over your life so far? If you had to put it down to one lesson.
Beautiful, beautiful. I'll say a line, and I'll say why this is relevant to everyone. I used to be a EFT, or emotional freedom techniques practitioner, and then advanced practitioner, and I became a trainer. Basically, that's tapping on certain meridian points and to release like any blocked energy, blocked emotion. So I used to do that for a long, long time. There's one line, we call it a set of statement. So basically, we tap on what we call karate chop point, and we say, even though, and we say whatever is going on for the people. The second bit is the most important thing. Even though whatever problem is going on, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. The last second part line, that's the one many people struggle with. When I was a EFT practitioner and I did the tapping, people like struggle to say that. And I have learned through all my, my courage to look inwards, my courage to invest in myself. It keeps coming back to that. The more I can truly and deeply, completely love and accept myself and forgive myself whenever I need to, that's a game changer. In That's my essence of all the personal development work I have done. It always comes back to that. And when we do that, and when we can be that, the whole world shifts for us.
Definitely, definitely. Oh, that's just beautiful. Thank you. I mean, I know we have spoken about your latest projects, and I know you're up to amazing things, and you are creating amazing things. Would you like to share some of that with us?
Yes, I would. Thank you so much. A program that I have been running for 1 year is called Beyond Diagnosis. So I wanted to create something where any people with any kinds of label, whether it's mental health label, a mental health diagnosis label, or physical health diagnosis label. I feel that people do feel that, oh, this is who I am at some stage, and they feel like, oh, but I can't do that because I have got this. And I wanted people to know that that's not their true identity. The diagnosis can never be the true identity. So I wanted to take them to beyond the diagnosis. So I have a program called Beyond Diagnosis. My 12-month program is about to end tomorrow. Tomorrow is the final conversation, and then I'm going to run another program like that, but it's going to be 6 months only in October. So anyone listening, if you have a label or diagnosis, or you're curious like what does that mean or what that would look like, you can get in touch with me. So that's definitely something I would highly recommend. It's been like, I have got lots of beautiful testimonials of shifts for people with a diagnosis. And the other one, if I may, Anita, is like, just like I do something for clients. I mean, I have one-to-one coaching and that kind of thing. And I coach leaders, I coach healthcare professionals, professionals, anyone who want to be coach. But the other one is, just like I'm creating something to empower people with a label, I've also created a program to empower healthcare professionals to be the best version of themselves. And it's called the Powerful Health Professionals Retreat. And it's going to start next month, but the main retreat is in June. And anyone who, if you are a healthcare professional, you don't have to be a doctor, you don't have to be a nurse, you could be an occupational therapist, you could be a pharmacist, you could be a physiotherapist, something to do with healthcare, and you got curious, you can just message me and I'll share more.
That's absolutely beautiful. And I know you're doing amazing things.
Thank you. And so are you, Anita. And this is why I am here having this powerful conversation about courage and what happens when we are courageous, being courageous, and when we create from a place of courage.
Absolutely. So what resources do you recommend, tools, daily steps to anyone that wants to start looking at navigating change in their mental health?
Thank you for saying that. I would say the main, please Google Sidney Banks. But I would say, rather than Google Sidney Banks, say go to Amazon and write Sidney Banks. I would say Second Chance. There are two books I highly recommend of Sidney Banks. One is The Second Chance, and the other one is The Enlightened Gardener. And I have shared this with my patients, my clients, as a way of really understanding what this person, who used to be a very just an ordinary human being, who was a welder with no, he had already only read about 3 or 4 books his entire life, and they were all about welding, nothing to do with psychology or philosophy or anything. Who then was gifted this transformative experience when he got enlightened and saw something very deep and profound about who we truly are and true mental health. So I cannot not encourage people, your listeners, to go and check out these books. My book is a very simple pointing to that. And if you want to go deep after my book, definitely Sidney Banks. And also, if you go to YouTube and go to Sidney Banks' channel, subscribe to the channel, and you'll find lots and lots of free resources there. And I can't say highly enough of that. It has changed people's lives for sure.
It's brilliant. So, Rani, where can the listeners find you online, your book, or what's your website?
It's called Doctors Rani and Suraj. It's DRS Rani, RaniAngsuraj. You might want to put it down somewhere.com. But if you just Google Dr. Rani Bora, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. Basically, just type Dr. Rani Bora. It should bring you to our website as well. So that's how you can find us. And our email address is on our website if you want to contact us.
Yeah, and all the links in the show notes for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing your courageous journey and your deep, insightful wisdom and knowledge with us today. And by doing so, you have helped so many others. Dr. Rani Bora.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
My pleasure. It's been insightful. So we are all about Create the Courage to be Fearless podcast. What is your definition of courage?
It's very simple. It's about, if we have a desire, it's about being committed to the desire. The commitment is a courage for me. For a long time, I wanted to do things and I did not have the commitment. And so for me, what was missing in my definition of courage for a long time was, being fully committed to, in a way, being the highest version of myself and following on, and doing what I want to do. So commitment is my definition of what courage is.